What's up, Fragrant World? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. My name is Justin Copeland, and on this channel, Stay Fresh Productions, we talk about everything dealing with fragrances. If you have an interest in fragrances or an interest in learning more about fragrances or just talking about what we love and what moves us, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button. Join the Fresh Squad today. Improve, increase, elevate, evolve, and enhance your freshness. Your freshness is you bringing your best self into every situation, treating others with respect, understanding, and kindness, and carrying yourself with elegance and class. We use fragrance as at least a starting place for that. You'll feel it, and others will smell it. Today we got a follow-up video. We're talking about a follow-up to a video I did, I think back in October, several months ago. And that video was based on another video that I did previously, where I talked about 10 primary scenarios to wear fragrance. And one of those categories, those scenarios, was called the Showstopper. So I took that and I made an entire video about 10 Showstopper fragrances. You can check that out here if you missed it. So we're doing a follow-up to that. We're doing a part 2. I have 10 more fragrances that I call Showstoppers. Now, what is a Showstopper fragrance? This is a scent that on the surface, and maybe even below the surface, is not mass appealing. This is not meant to appeal to everyone. It was not created to appeal to everyone. There is going to be a pretty decent mix of designers and niche, but I do think that the niche does kind of outweigh designer in this realm because, in my opinion, this is very generalized, very broad, but I believe that designer fragrances from these big name brands that we know and we purchase from, they are created to empower us, to help us kind of dominate our environment, to help us fit in, but just in general to have this kind of conquering nature. And you see that in the advertisements of these kinds of fragrances. Where I believe that niche or artisanal or luxury or indie, whatever you want to call it, fragrances art, so to speak, is intended to challenge and humble us. It is intended to teach us, to illustrate stories or narratives, to paint pictures, or to just broaden our horizons. So I do think that the latter is a great way to have a greater impact on people around you. Yes, you can be likable with your fragrance. Yes, there's 100,000 ways you can simply smell good with a lot of fragrances out there, especially these new releases that keep getting churned out by designer brands year after year. There's all these flankers. It's just another way to smell good. But if you want to smell memorable, if you want to make an impact that may not come with compliments, I'm warning you now, this is a way to do it. If you have an interest in that, I'm not saying this is the way to wear fragrance and disregard your Dior Sauvage and your Dylan Blue and all that stuff. No, all I'm saying is that with limited time here on this earth, you might as well make a little bit of an effort to stand out from the crowd. And it can kind of be as easy as choosing a fragrance that does that, but you gotta wear it with confidence. These are fragrances that if you spray them on paper and you smell them like this or on your hand up close, they might throw you off. You might be repulsed. But as I like to talk about, that is not the definitive way to decide how you feel about a scent. So if you have the patience and the wherewithal to dig a little bit deeper, to give it a full wearing, maybe at home in your own time, to really see how it wears in the air in a realistic fashion, it'll truly unlock the nature of that fragrance. And especially if you can dress it up to an occasion that warrants that, it will only supplement and elevate your presence in the room. With all that out the way, let's dive right into it. This first fragrance, this one is new to me, and this was actually a surprise. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I have with the several wearings I've given it. That's why it's here at number 10, because it is the newest one. There's a member of our community, his name is Sammy Androus. I'm not sure exactly how to say his last name, so Sammy, I do apologize. He had his own brand where he was actually creating his own fragrances. Some of them were inspired by others, and maybe there was some originals, I'm not sure. He did kind of create another brand that he wanted to be seen as more of a luxury brand, and he came out with his first release not long ago. He calls it Heavenly Place. And I'll be frank, I don't remember all the notes in here because, again, I haven't had it for very long. I've definitely given it some wearings. I've taken some notes about my experience with it. This thing is special. This doesn't really smell like anything that I've experienced. It has this kind of fruity, citrusy freshness up top. When you first spray it on, it's kind of fresh, it's sweet, and almost juicy in a way, and a little bit of a brightness, but immediately there's something off about it. There's a funk in here. There's a pretty explicit animalistic funk. I don't think there are any explicit animalic notes, again, from my memory. It doesn't smell overtly animalic, but there's something that is kind of almost dirty and dark about it behind this kind of fruity, juicy, sweet freshness. that creates a very great duality. And for me, on my skin, the first blast, not crazy about it. I do enjoy it because it interests me, but I don't find it the most pleasant, at least up close. In the air, it's fine. But on the skin as it dries, this stuff becomes irresistible for me, and it lasts and lasts and lasts. It gets kind of sensual in the dry down, again, not in your typical way. So do check this out. I'm gonna have a link down below. I don't get any kind of kickback or anything with this. Sammy just sent it to me to try out. So check them out, link down below. It's called Heavenly Place. Here at the 9th spot, and these are basically ranked in order of how much I've worn them. Not so much ranked in my order of preference, like I like this one more than that one. They really could just not be in order here, but I decided it would be easier for me to rank them based on how much I wear them. And here at number 9, definitely a showstopper. Its predecessor made the original list, so it was only fitting that this made the second one. From Tom Ford, we have Black Orchid Parfum. To be honest, I prefer the original because this one is essentially the original, but just beefed up. It is simply stronger. It is what you would expect out of a Parfum flanker. Or if you would hear like an intense flanker, an extreme flanker, you expect, okay, it's gonna be the same scent, but just stronger or richer or both. And they did that here. I get Black Orchid, the DNA is here, it's undeniable. It's that sweet, floral, the darkness to it. It has kind of this vanilla, praline style sweetness, so it's almost gourmand or edible in a way. But there's this earthy truffle nature, something that's kind of dark, almost a little bit funky in a way. To me, this is even more on the truffle side of things. It's a little bit more funky, not in an animalic way, but in this earthy type of way. It almost comes off kind of sharp and maybe even like metallic, almost like this bottle, honestly. I still find it pleasant, especially on the skin. Again, up close, it's like, ooh, it's a lot, and it's very powerful. But I can still recommend it if you're looking for something to stand out. If you like Black Orchid and you want just more, then they gave it to you here. I don't think we really needed it, but we got it. But the bottle looks cool. At number 8, a new release from last year. I actually did review this in my In Real Life or In the Real World, whatever I call it, that series. You can check out the review here. And I reviewed this and its partner release from Kilian. We have Verte, which I think means either the green hour or happy hour. This is not the most polarizing fragrance. It is if you don't like licorice. This is super licorice heavy. So if you don't like licorice, you're not gonna like this fragrance. That is why I think it's a showstopper. It's very unusual. You don't see a ton of super licorice forward fragrances out there. It's done very well here. You got lots of like artemisia and anise and absinthe. So it is this kind of herbaceous, green, slightly spirity booziness with that very distinctive nature of licorice. You have some woods in the background. It gets a little bit rubbery, and I couldn't really explain it to you. It might be the woods or something like that on my skin, at least up close. In the air, it's fine. But I think it wears beautifully. I think it becomes very attractive and alluring on the skin, but it is very unusual. Something to turn heads. Again, people may not ask about it, but you're gonna make an impact. But if they do ask about it, you tell them, yeah, this is a super heavy licorice fragrance. And they'll be like,
I didn't know you could wear licorice.
And you say,
well, now you know.
Kilian, Verte. Here at number 7, from the house of Dior. This is no stranger to the community. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to find, but still out there, but definitely not cheap per se, but not outlandish, because it is discontinued. And this is Dior Fahrenheit Parfum, or Le Parfum, whatever they want to call it. This takes that original DNA, which is already kind of a showstopper. It's actually a very iconic fragrance and a masterpiece, if you're asking me. Very timeless. They take that and they make it sexier. And they also kind of modernize it a little bit. It does feature that slightly metallic freshness of violet leaf, which is an unusual type of freshness, not like your lavender or citruses or anything like that. You do have suede leather, which kind of replaces the regular leather accord in the original one. So there's this smooth kind of like almost luxury car vibe to the leathery quality, or like some kind of nice jacket or something like that. But it is sweet. You have vanilla. You have a boozy rum in here, and you do have licorice as well. Licorice, again, kind of an unusual note. Not quite as heavy here as it is in the Kilian, but still quite forward. And it's an interesting combination. It comes together in a very succulent way, but a way that doesn't smell edible. When I first smelled it, I didn't like it. Years ago, I actually hated it. I absolutely love it now. Thanks to my friend Kelvin for offering to trade me a bottle. And I'm glad I made that trade because I'm enjoying this stuff. That is Dior Fahrenheit Le Parfum. Here at number 6, yet again, not the most polarizing fragrance out here, but in this kind of fougere genre, not the most accessible in the genre for sure. This is coming from Beach Giza, and they call this Jet Set. Man, this is intended to smell like a well-dressed businessman on a plane in the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken. If you can imagine that picture, super distinguished, very, very fresh in a soapy way, almost like a shaving soap kind of way, very authentically shaved soap. It is aromatic, it is fresh, it's clean smelling, but there's something dark about it. I think you have quite a bit of oak moss in here. So it has this beautiful duality of light and dark together, like we kind of talked about earlier. Again, on this very soapy, clean side of things in this fougere genre, but with an edge. It's what I call dark fresh. Very interesting, not for everyone, but not the most off the wall. And I think they just came out with an eau de toilette version. This is the eau de parfum. I haven't smelled the eau de toilette. It might even be a little bit more digestible.
Don't drink it.
But I do recommend checking it out if you're looking for a fresh and clean fragrance that is quite different. That is Jet Set. Here at number 5, this is also another very distinguished fragrance, something I imagine someone very refined would wear. A refined gentleman, kind of in that James Bond-esque feel. I would put Jet Set in the same arena. This is coming from the indie house Rogue, and this is called Mousse Illuminee. This is a stunning fragrance. The more I smell it, the more I really enjoy it. This was a gift from my patrons, the Fresh Fam. Always appreciate you guys. So happy to have you and so grateful for you. They gifted this to me for my birthday a year ago, and I've been loving it more and more as I've given time to it. This is in the Chypre genre, so it is green and mossy. Fresh, but robust, a little bit earthy, very, very green, almost coniferous in a way, but there is this almost soapy cleanliness to it that's really pleasant, very distinguished, as I said, super strong for a fresh scent. This thing is easily a 10 to 15 hour fragrance, so be careful with your sprays. I think there's like real oak moss in here. This is not IFRA compliant, so he's not able to sell in stores, but as a result, you're getting like real ingredients that you're not gonna find everywhere. Mousse Illuminee, check it out if you're looking for something green, kind of in the realm of like polo green or something like that. It's in that vibe. At number 4, coming from Roja Parfums, I could have chosen so many fragrances from him. And the one I chose in the last video was Diaghilev, an absolutely stunning fragrance that I think everyone needs to get a sample of, even if you don't like it. This is honestly not terribly different from Diaghilev, but it's a slightly different take on the personality. This is called Fetish, and like Diaghilev, it is this animalic chypre. Roja likes that genre very much, and he has a lot of fragrances that fall under that. Very, very mossy and dry, maybe with a leathery aspect, maybe labdanum in there. It's a very unapologetic type of fragrance. This is very heavy on the leather, and it's also very heavy on the animalics. Diaghilev is not quite so leathery. Diaghilev is more fruity floral mixed with the dry mossiness and some kind of animalic, slightly, honestly, pissy civet. This is more on the leathery side of things. I think there's some castoreum in here bringing that animalic tinge. Very, very dry, kind of dusty, but with a lot of beautiful nuance to it that kind of dances around some kind of sweetness in there that really lightens things up, but it's subtle, but so well done. Not for everyone. I'm warning you, as I said at the start, if you smell this up close, you might run. I'm telling you. But if you wear it on your body, you let it waft, you let it sit around you in the air, it might draw some good attention if you dress the part, if you are the part. Again, be your best self in that situation. Look at people in the eye, shake their hand, be confident. This is really gonna help you with that. Fetish, interesting name for sure. It doesn't have to be an erotic fragrance at all. I mean, maybe it could be, but just depends on where you wear it. I wouldn't wear this to cuddle, I'll just tell you that. That's Fetish. At number 3, from the House of Amouage, again, many I could have chosen. In the last video, I chose Overture Man, which is yet again another stunning fragrance that is very, very polarizing. This fragrance is definitely a little bit more accessible than that, but still off the beaten path. This is Boundless, one of their newest releases from last year. This is primarily a tobacco forward fragrance, but with the utmost just like mouth-watering luxury to it. You have bourbon vanilla in here, which is a type of vanilla that is outlandishly boozy. It literally smells like booze. Technically, I don't think there's any booze accords in here, but that bourbon vanilla is incredible. Lots of juicy blood orange. That is your citrus quality. Brings a touch of a freshness when you spray it on. Lots of tobacco and earthy, kind of slightly smoky tobacco as it dries down. Incredible stuff. Great tobacco fragrance, lots of nuance. And again, I think it's quite unique. I think this smells great in the air. This is definitely something that's gonna get great attention if you dress it up. Most people would enjoy this in the air as long as you don't spray too much. That is Boundless from Amouage. Number 2, this fragrance, I think it's kind of a masterpiece, but you have to love cumin. And not everybody likes cumin. It's pretty funky. It's not the most pleasant thing to smell. But on my skin, it does just fine. It doesn't seem to pop from my skin. For some people, it really pops. I love this stuff. Coming from Cartier, Déclaration Parfum. Oh my goodness. Taking that original DNA, which is very fresh and spicy. Lots of cardamom, lots of bitter orange. And you still get that vibe, but it is darkened, it is richer, it is denser, not quite as fresh. You have leather in here, which I think is in the original. You have some more intense spices. Aside from just the cardamom, you have some warmer spices and you have some resins, which do kind of bring a sweetness in here. The cumin is still in the front here though. It is heavy, it is there. Slightly kind of has that BO, funky, spicy vibe. To my nose, it smells great. Grace doesn't care for it, but I absolutely love it. I think this is a showstopper for sure. And it's a designer scent, which makes it one of the cheaper ones on the list. Not cheap, so to speak. Definitely under $100. Highly recommend if you're looking for something different in the designer realm. Cartier is highly overlooked. That's Déclaration Parfum. Finally, last fragrance here, number 1. Again, number 1 here because I've worn it the most out of all of these and I think it's stunning. Again, not the most polarizing, but definitely the most divisive fragrance from the brand, from their collection so far. Not everyone loves this one. It's one of my favorites for sure, and it always has been. Coming from Argos, this is Brivido Della Caccia. Wow, thrill of the chase is what it means. Telling the story of Artemis in the forest, being spied on by some man, finding him because she was bathing, so she was naked. Don't want to be spied on while you're naked. She turned him to a stag and sent his own hounds after him to kill him. Great story. This is very, very green. I am transported to a forest, kind of a mossy, foggy forest. Very, very green, very woody, kind of smoky, lots of birch wood in here. You have lots of mate in here, bringing a lot of that green quality, very distinctive, a little bit sharp with juniper berry, very, very sharp actually, and leather as well. Lots of leather in here, so it's like a perfect concoction of sharp, green, leathery, woody, just like in your face. But as it dries down, you do get some vanilla or tonka bean or something like that. There is this beautiful, almost seductive sweetness that comes out and plays, and it really kind of enraptures the entire profile, and I think makes it a little bit more tolerable for most people who would be kind of put off by this sharp green nature of it. I think it's a beautiful combination of elements coming together, beautifully done, great quality. I love the story it tells. It paints the picture in my mind. Great performance as well. If you're looking for something different on the green side of things, very sharp but kind of intoxicating in the air, check out Brivido Della Caccia. Use my code FRESH10. You can get you a full bottle. They have the 100 ml, they have a smaller 30 ml. You can also just get their discovery set and you can discover all of their fragrances and choose your favorite and then use the code again to get you a bottle if you find one you love. Anyway, Brivido Della Caccia. All right, that's gonna do it for me. This is another round of showstoppers you can choose from if you do want to really influence your presence in the room. Again, have an impact on those you meet, make a great first impression. Again, maybe not something to wear on a first date or wear to the club. If you're looking for fleeting compliments and fleeting kind of attention, then you already know what to wear for those things. That's in every other video. Check those out. But this is if you want to make a statement, if you want to stand out. Hopefully one of these will do it for you. If you want to check them out, again, links down below. Let me know what you think of these fragrances down in the comments. I'd love to know if you've tried any of these. Are any of these your favorites? Do you hate any of them too? That's always valid. We can talk about it. Please like the video if you like the video, and please subscribe. Join the Fresh Squad today. Costs you absolutely nothing. And thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.